Edward Gaming without a doubt carried a whole region's desire from their very inception. They were the first ever Chinese team to make an international appearance on VALORANT's Pro scene, and now are the first ever Chinese team to lift a Champions trophy, all within a 2-year gap. However, this journey was one of ups and downs. As we look through EDG's history, one thing is apparent: change is good. And because of these changes, we got to see Edward Gaming immortalize themselves in VALORANT's history book as grand champions. Evolving to great heights sometimes is by force, other times by chance. But hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Being both doesn't hurt either. Despite these words from a certain Florida man, Edward Gaming were actually able to reach the international stage before the likes of Busio or anyone on Evil Geniuses. This is because when VALORANT was released, players in Hong Kong and other places in China will use VPNs to play the game. The players of EDG were no different. They were able to qualify the Champs 2022 through VCT's East Asia Last Chance qualifier. This event had the likes of Crazy Raccoon, a popular Japanese team who May competed on, Northception, where you would see future Master Shanghai winner Meteor top frag 4, and Damn Wong Gaming, who also had future Master Shanghai winners in Texture and Lakia on the team during this time. Surely by just winning a competition filled with players who had previous international experience like Lakia, one would come to the conclusion that this team was ready for the international stage, and was not 3 years behind. In fact, Edward Gaming would not drop a single map in this last chance qualifier. However, if you compared this roster to the one that played in their first Champions 2022 game, you may notice someone is missing. Yep, Life was not able to compete during their first game due to an illness. Remember when I say change sometimes happens by chance? Well, enter Smoggy. Some said that he literally carried Edward Gaming against Paper X in their last map. They would lose this series, but Smoggy's performance left a lasting impression on the team, especially since this was his first time ever playing with this version of Edward Gaming. Pressure would be an understatement when you remember that this was supposed to be VALORANT's most competitive event of the year, an event that would have the largest sets of eyes on them, and he didn't succumb to this pressure. His 222 ACS, 6 First Bloods, and 144 average damage per round against Paper X was far more impressive than life stats versus Team Liquid. But if you were following China's scene during these times, then you might have seen this coming. While on Weibo Gaming, Smoggy had a history of beating mini versions of Edward Gaming. Him and his team would actually beat EDG twice in back-to-back games of the upper and grand finals of FGC Valorant's Invitational Act 1. During this meeting, the man went absolutely nuclear with a plus 22 KDA and a 7-to-1 first blood first death ratio. In the next matchup, he had a plus 14 KDA, which was also highest among all in the server, once again diffing life in the process. It's easy to say that he got his revenge on EDG, who originally cut him from the team. All of this might explain why they chose to bring Smoggy back as a substitute after such a performance on the regional stage, a decision that would pay off greatly in the future. However, for Champs 2022, Kang definitely stole the show. The dude had a plus 11 for his first blood, first death versus Paper X, highest among all in that server. He too had a history of playing against Edward Gaming. Him and Nobody would play together on teams, and I guess as a package deal, they got picked up. I say all of this because EDG early on went through a lot of changes in terms of personnel, and each net positive change had something in common. They took the best young talent in the region, something similar that Fnatic did in 2023 that helped them get back-to-back title wins. Heretics too saw similar success in 2024 by also taking the best young players in EMEA. Now, this isn't a guarantee that picking up the best tier 2 players would mean that an organization will get immediate success, but there is a history of it being a solid strategy. When you're in a rut, change is necessary. At the end of the day, insanity is the idea of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And we continue to see it in 2024 where teams like G2 made roster changes in the middle of the season by bringing on younger individuals and proceed to do better as a team. This is in stark contrast to how Sentinels were going about roster building in 2022 and 2023. Where their plan was to bring in big and/or already established names like Shroud, Pinkata, Saucy, and Marv. Don't get me wrong, experience is needed on the team, but like most things in life, balance is more important. a balance between old and new players, or at least players with a lot of experience already. If we fast forward to 2023, we see that Smoggy is no longer a substitute but promoted to the main team. A change that would see them push 100 Thieves to a 3-map series and lock in single elimination tournament. They would go on to lose to them, but it would require overtime on Pearl to do so, unlike Fun Plus Phoenix, who also had a 3-map game that ended on Pearl versus Carmine Corp, but a bit less impressive. Masters Tokyo is where everything changed for Edward Gaming though. They would knock off well-established teams like Na'Vi and Loud in this event. Teams that sported title winners from top to bottom. Oh yeah, this was also Kang's coming out party too.
Gets a couple of steps in, close to the gap! He's absolutely nuts! The true protagonist! Spiky to make the most of that as well, gets the trade. Oh! Kang as well, connects onto Zeta, leaving Munchkin in a rough situation. Made worse with that operator rattling through his chest. Spine-sire player, he avoids all the utility, but he can't avoid bad. Yes, he can! Dips away, and he's still standing! He's trying to find something further. Chichu's got him dead, and Kang, how is he? How is he doing that? How is he doing that? I've never seen
That is outrageous!
His highly aggressive opping playstyle and on-stage pop-offs will rarely ever leave mine or many other people's memories. Overall, they were able to carry this momentum to a 5th/6th place finish, while Attacking Soul Esports' only accomplishment was to get a map win off of Foot Esports. Before Champs 2023 started, Busio decided to give his thoughts on Chinese Valorant.
China will never be better than NA, for one, in Valorant. China or, I think some Korean teams can do it, but the reason I say this is because we will actually grind. We will make sure these Chinese teams will never be close to us. China's 3 years behind, and if we play enough, they will not be, I don't think they'll be close to us.
I mentioned a couple of times in past videos, but for me, it seems like Busio is just playing a character. A heel is what some would call it in combat sports, a villain for others. A way to hype him and his team up, to give them pressure to perform and live up to the trash talking that they were saying. But of course, these words would come to bite him in the butt the following year, as well as give the likes of Billy an added reason to be NRG.
Are you okay?
Regardless, for Champs 2023, EDG once again finished 5th/6th. There was a mixed reaction for this, for many reasons. For one, there were many times they looked pretty solid, even against the eventual tournament winners. And it wasn't just a Kang show either. The likes of Smoggy and Chichu came up big for the team. They were able to make it out of the group stages with the likes of Billy Gaming, while FPX also surprised a few people with how much they improved since lock-in. On the flip side, there is an idea out there of stagnancy, which is seen as a scary precursor to a fall-off. If you're not getting better, then that might just mean you're getting worse instead. The 2023 season was also a wild time for EDG. They played over 50 matches during this time. To put that in perspective, both Evil Geniuses and Fnatic played around 30 separately in 2023. And the crazy part is that Edward Gaming didn't slow down either. This team will continue to grind in the off-season events before kickoffs. They would end up winning it with some pushbacks from the likes of Wolves and FPX, who had legit chances of beating Edward Gaming. The interesting aspect of EDG heading into Masters Madrid is that they were the only team to sport the exact same roster they did in the previous year. At first, things were looking great for them. They were able to beat Paper X, the first team they ever faced on the international stage, way back in 2022. Even though they didn't change personnel, the playstyle of the team was very different, especially for Kang, who became more of a rifler than an opper, something that I mentioned in my past kickoff and Master Madrid videos. This was a pretty big deal. Ever since he stepped on the scene, his opping is what set him apart from everyone else. For all of 2023, Kang had 208 op kills on 34 maps, giving him one of, if not the highest op kills per map ratio of 6.2 if you round up. Fast forward to Masters Madrid, it was Smoggy who was doing more opping with Raze during their bind game against Paper X. He was able to pick up 5 in the process. However, on split, Kang would play Raze and not pick up the op once. This is in stark contrast to how he played the Asian in Champs 2023. However, this change netted them their first ever win over Paper X, a change that you can say was good at the moment. They beat a team that had their number multiple times in the past. I do want to add that Paper X were going through growing pains since they had Monyet instead of Jing on the team. However, this Singaporean team was still able to make a top 4 finish in Masters Madrid, something that we can't say about Edward Gaming. They would take off a map on Gen G, but would eventually crash and burn for each of their games afterwards. Their loud match on Icebox was hard to watch for a number of reasons. You could tell that Sadak was like a puppet master controlling the flow of the game. But in general, EDG lost a lot of 1v1s and 1v2s. If you watch each round of that Icebox game, you will come to realize that it could have been a lot closer than what the scoreline would tell you, which is something that we can't say about Sunset. It was actually Fun plus Phoenix who looked more impressive during their Masters Madrid run, since their unorthodox team comps with insane aim gave their opponents problems at times. Edward Gaming will go on to win their regional split 1 and qualify for Masters Shanghai, their stomping grounds. This time, China's public enemy number 1 took the opportunity to double down on his statements.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my opinion changes much from last year. I think the Chinese teams are still definitely the weakest teams out of all the regions. Probably none will make it out of the Switch stage, and then EDG will be the only team left. I think out of all the teams remaining, EDG is probably bottom 2. So I'd say overall, my opinions are still the same. Like, we should destroy them.
Unfortunately, Dragon Ranger and Edward Gaming were not able to prove his words wrong. EDG would not only lose back-to-back, but they would fail to win a single map. They went double negative on rounds too, with a 26 round win to 52 round losses. Once again, change was needed, and a pretty big one this time. However, to make this change, EDG will have to face a similar problem as Paper X. Basically, each member on the team was an instrumental part of their past success, and a key part of their team's chemistry. Kong and Smoggy have already proven themselves in the past to be untouchable when it comes to the idea of who to remove. Chichu provided many moments of brilliance, same with Nobody and Haodong, but they would end up dropping Haodong for Simon. Haodong, like the rest of Edward Gaming, is a fantastic player. I remember a number of times his lurks on binds helped secure necessary rounds for the team. Also, this is very risky. History has shown us that getting rid of the brains of your team is one of the last things you want to do. JD Gaming knows this all too well. Shoot, even asked Navi how things turned out for them when they let go of their head coach in the middle of the season. However, the difference is that Edward Gaming didn't leave Haodong out in the streets to fend for himself. They brought him on the coaching staff, giving them an advantage that most teams didn't have. Someone in the booth that actually knows how it feels to be a player on Valorant's international stage. Bringing in Simon wasn't the only change Edward Gaming was embracing too. Out of all the teams at Champs 2024, they were playing Neon the most. In fact, they used Neon in every series. It's also quite odd to see them lose each of their Haven games with this agent but win every single Sunset one. On paper, you would think the results would have been reversed, but these changes helped them get past the group stage, something that Bilibili and FPX were not able to do. They would once again have to take down another Chinese teams in the playoffs before toppling the likes of Sentinels and Leviathan, America's best teams so far in the tournament.
Chinese Valorant will never be better than NA.
Never. Absolutely not. I will make sure of it, never.
That one didn't age quite so well.
All that was left was Team Heretics, the only other org besides EDG who were known as Chinese Farmers, a nickname that they earned during Master Shanghai where they beat each and every Chinese team. On the first map of Haven, it looked like Heretics will continue this trend with the mistakes that their opponents were making. We can start with round 7.
The ult, yeah, ult pivot over and away, but again the timing is going to be brutal. Kang still collects the one. It's a 2v2, but still 4 seconds to go. He missed it! Who's missed the timing? What's he doing? Brutal! And Nerves, frantic on stage, on display.
Then, in the following round, the clock was once again their greatest enemy.
Seconds, here's the old Woot, he's getting ahead of all of this, wants to take the peak and wants to take the fight. Hunter's Fury, trying to bail them out, slowed down to a crawl, aftershock in their face, it's full util spam. Cacophony of all of it, into the back of the site we go, twists and turns, the tail's being weaved, but it's all on Heretics' side. Again, EDG, the clock being the biggest enemy.
During round 9, you would see EDG's Omen TP onto site and get killed while both his smokes were not used. And round 10 was another story of running fakes on A only to run out of time on C.
But again, 17 seconds left.
Barely time for the spike to get there.
Keeps occurring. A mad dash and scramble towards the end of the game. At the end of the round, Chichu at least will push back Miniboo. Caught by the trip. 6 seconds, caught by the trip. 4 seconds. You gotta stick it, and the aftershock denies it. Wu will pay for it for his life, but at the end of the day, it's another round earned for Heretics.
Was it nerves, or was Heretics just a better team on Haven? On Sunset though, EDG pulled a complete 180. They were actually using their utility to clear space. This led them to deliver a haymaker to Heretics, then land a gut punch that left them gasping for air on round 5 of Lotus, where Chichu would get all 5.
Resets it to draw this core. Oh, the play's being made all across the board. Chichu! You didn't have to do it to him, not like that. Embarrasses Heretics in through tree.
He is the immovable object of EDG.
And could we have it any other way? And that's an ace if I've ever seen one.
Bind may have been one of the best Champions Grand Finals maps that I personally have seen live. You had well-coordinated plays as well as good old-fashioned muddy Valorant, a type of Valorant that we've been seeing all year. Round 20, Rians pulled out heroic plays to deny a double flank pinch.
Try and play his team into the fight, into the fray once more. Chichu striking where it hurts, but yet shut down in a moment. Right when it matters most now, Simon has got to do it all. Sheriff in hand, upgrade in front of them. Yoinks it, but it's not enough. Up to 12 for Heretics.
Round 21, Benji Fishy was able to read Kong like a book and punish his showers push, a push that he has been doing previously throughout this game. On round 22, we had a legendary body block that I'm sure hurts the souls of many lineup Larry nerds, me included.
The castles, Rians, he's out of it. Simon's defusing. What a body block! Simon, he's got it all the way. Absolutely spectacular.
What an outrageous play. What a phenomenal protocol for EDG.
Round 24 was a mix of being well coordinated with Thrash's ult versus Heretics post plant. That still ended up looking messy yet fun to watch live.
Flank control, watch for, and like you said, the Thrash is going to be clearing, cleaving the way through. Path potentially. Here, lying in wait, Thrash is there alongside us, sees his players need to be defended! Woot steps up to the challenge but dropped inside Kang! Overtime in sight! And EDG are hungry for it, trying to will it forward. Defuse the nade, but the shot's online! They don't have it! Time! It's not online, man! Heartbreak for EDG!
All of this led us to Abyss, a map that had a lot of push and pull, no mirror matchup either. A game of double initiator versus double controller. A Grand Finals map 5 where one team was more balanced with each class and the other were gambling with no sentinels. I'm sure that EDG knew from their loud match in Masters Madrid that you don't need a sentinel to win big games. And this double controller no sentinel comp came in big for them when attacking mid. For example, on round 11 we would see another fake from EDG, one where Sova would make noise on A main and Kang broke mid doors. To Heretics, they must have felt safe rotating through here. However, thanks to both Astra's and Omen smokes, they were not ready for Edward Gaming's trap.
And a scattered fight indeed. Skirmish to be taken, EDG! A striking right where it hurts, nobody's detained. But honestly, again, the scaling that's required. Touch to the side and the weapon's right out, ready to strike. Boo is dropped in place, and Miniboo left with it all to do. It's just not possible. Woot the Wonder Boy. He'll make a good go, but that is just... It's impossible to get past at this point.
With a scoreline of 11-4, it looked like the trophy was within EDG's grasp. That is till Heretics stormed back with 5 straight rounds. EDG were struggling on defense. A drawback of having no Sentinels agents, I'm sure. It was slowly seeming like Edward Gaming would need a Guardian Angel to win another round on the defensive end. Good thing that Kong bought one.
The pressure shifted onto them and Kang forced to step up to the moment. Dash to avoid and shots are fired. Kang! He's monstrous when he gets going! And he does it! Almost single-handedly!
and breaking the kill record in the process, during an eco of all rounds too. Deciding who would be crowned the MVP of the game was an easy choice, but at the end of the day, Valorant is a team-based game, and at the highest level, you need to play as one. Throughout this video, I purposely mentioned other Chinese teams in each event to juxtapose EDG's progress to theirs, to show that the Chinese region is like any other. You will have some teams who stumble at times during their first event, but just like EDG, you might see them at the top one day. Shoot, it only took Edward Gaming 2 years to redeem themselves, from being grouped in 2022 to reaching the playoffs of Champs 2023, and now finally lifting up Valorant's grand prize in 2024. Edward Gaming's journey was one of ups and downs, one where they continue to evolve their personnel and tactics to reach their goal. A reminder to us all that whether we like it or not, that change is necessary to overcome hurdles. GG's to Edward Gaming on a well-deserved win. I can't wait to see what they do next.